I stared at the text message from my brother one last time before deleting it. Family doesn't count debts. 5 words that destroyed 15 years of trust and $250,000 of my life savings. My name is Victoria, and until 6 months ago, I thought I knew what family meant. I was wrong. You need to stop looking at that message, Linda said, sliding a glass of wine across my kitchen counter. It's just going to keep hurting you. I took a long sip, letting the Cabernet wash away the bitter taste in my mouth. I just can't believe he did this to me after everything. After you basically raised him when your parents died? Linda finished my thought. Yeah, it's pretty messed up. The memory of those early days hit me hard. I was 17 when the accident happened. Ruben was 23. Everyone expected him to take care of me, but it worked out the other way around. I put my college plans on hold, took 2 jobs, and made sure we kept the house, all while he found himself. You know what the worst part is? I said, standing up to pace my kitchen. He called me yesterday to brag about his company's new expansion, like nothing happened, like he didn't take my money and ghost me for months. Linda's eyes widened. He didn't. Oh, he did. Started talking about how his business acumen finally paid off. Asked if I wanted to come to their celebration party next week. Please tell me you told him to shove it. I shook my head. I said I'd think about it. Victoria! Linda slammed her glass down. Why would you even consider it? The answer caught in my throat. How could I explain that some part of me still wanted to fix things? Still wanted my little brother back? My phone buzzed. Another message from Ruben. Come on, sis. It'll be fun. Like old times. Linda grabbed my phone before I could respond. Okay, that's it. We're calling Laura. Laura? My old mentor, Laura? Yes, the badass CEO Laura who's been trying to get you to join her company for years. The one who actually knows how business works. 20 minutes later, Laura's face filled my laptop screen. Her sharp features softened when she saw my expression. Tell me everything, she said. So I did. About how Ruben came to me 6 months ago, desperate to save his struggling tech company. How he promised me shares, a seat on the board, and monthly repayments. How I emptied my savings and took out a loan to help him. How he changed the moment the money hit his account. Laura listened quietly, her expression growing darker. When I finished, she leaned forward. Victoria, honey, you're not going to like what I'm about to say. Try me. Your brother isn't just disrespecting you, he's committing fraud. You have documentation of the loan agreement? I nodded, pulling out the papers from my desk drawer. Everything's here, but he never signed the final contract, said we didn't need it because we're family. Laura's laugh was sharp. Of course he did. Victoria, you're too smart for this. You know what needs to happen. I can't sue my own brother, I protested. Who said anything about suing? Laura's smile turned calculating. There are other ways to handle this. Better ways. Ways that could help not just you, but every woman who's been dismissed and taken advantage of in business. I felt something shift inside me. What do you mean? Come to my office tomorrow. Bring those documents. And Victoria? Laura's voice turned steel hard. Forget about that party next week. We're going to throw you a much better one, just not the kind your brother would expect. For the first time in months, I felt a spark of something other than pain. Something that felt dangerously close to hope. Or maybe revenge. Linda, who'd been quietly listening, squeezed my hand. I know that look, she said. You're plotting something. I looked at the wine glass in my hand, then at Laura's determined face on the screen, and finally at the stack of documents that proved my brother's betrayal. Maybe I am. Maybe it's time to show Ruben that family doesn't count debts, but business sure does. Now that's the Victoria I know, Laura said. See you tomorrow at 9, and Victoria, wear something powerful. We're going to war. As I ended the call, another text from Ruben lit up my phone. Don't forget, family first. I deleted it without responding. Family first? Fine. But this time, I'd be the one making the rules. Laura's office felt like stepping into another world. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city skyline, and the morning sun cast long shadows across her minimalist desk. Your brother's company is vulnerable, Laura said, spreading documents across the glass surface. And you're going to help me prove it. I shifted in my seat. How? By doing exactly what he never expected you to do, playing the game better than him. Laura tapped a financial report. His company's stock is undervalued. He's been hiding losses, making rookie mistakes. The board is getting nervous. A knock at the door interrupted us. Perfect timing, Laura said. Come in. The door opened and I nearly dropped my coffee. Antonio? My childhood friend stood there in a perfectly tailored suit, looking nothing like the boy who used to push me on the swings. Hello, Victoria. Long time no see. You two know each other? Laura asked, though her smile suggested she already knew the answer. We grew up together, I said, standing to hug him. But I haven't seen you since your brother's wedding, Antonio finished, where he announced his brilliant business venture and asked everyone for money. The memory stung. I'd forgotten Antonio was there that day, watching as Ruben worked the room like a carnival barker. Antonio's one of our top investors now, Laura explained, and he's very interested in your situation. Antonio sat down beside me. Laura called me last night, told me what happened. His dark eyes met mine. Why didn't you reach out, Victoria? I was embarrassed, I admitted. Everyone warned me not to trust him with that much money. Including me, Antonio said softly. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because I want to help you take him down. Laura pulled up a presentation on her tablet. Antonio's investment firm has been watching your brother's company for months. They're bleeding money, but they're also sitting on some valuable patents. Patents that could be worth millions with the right management. And the right leadership, Antonio added, looking at me pointedly. I laughed. Me? I run a consulting firm. I don't know anything about tech companies. But you know everything about your brother's company, Laura countered. You did all the research before investing. You know their weaknesses, their potential, and most importantly, you know Ruben. Antonio leaned forward. We can help you by controlling shares through a series of shell companies. Ruben won't know what's happening until it's too late. Isn't that illegal? I asked. Not if we do it right, Laura said. Everything will be above board. We're just being strategic about the timing and disclosure. My phone buzzed. Another text from Ruben. Hey sis, need your RSVP for the party. Bringing some big investors. Would love to show off my successful family. I showed them the message. Antonio's jaw tightened. He's unbelievable. He's predictable, Laura corrected. And that's exactly what we need. Victoria, that party is your chance to gather intelligence. See who's really running things, who's vulnerable. I don't know. I hesitated. This feels like exactly what he did to you, Antonio finished. Except you'll do it legally and ethically. And when you're done, you'll turn his company into something that actually helps people. Laura nodded. Think about it. A tech company led by a woman, focused on developing products that serve underrepresented markets. You could help thousands of other women avoid situations like yours. I stood up and walked to the window, watching the city buzz below. How much would it cost? I'll fund it, Antonio said immediately. Consider it payback for all the times you helped me with calculus. This isn't homework, Antonio. This is millions of dollars. He joined me at the window. No, this is justice. And maybe a little bit of karma. I turned to face them both. If we do this, we do it my way. No destroying the company, no hurting innocent employees. This isn't about revenge, it's about transformation. Laura's smile was proud. Now you're thinking like a CEO. I pulled out my phone and typed a quick response to Ruben. Count me in, wouldn't miss it for the world. You're really doing this? Antonio asked. I thought about all the times I'd covered for Ruben, cleaned up his messes, believed his promises. Yes, I said. I'm really doing this. Then let's get started, Laura said, pulling out a stack of papers. First thing tomorrow, we begin buying shares. Antonio's firm will handle the transactions. Victoria, your only job is to keep Ruben distracted and overconfident. That won't be hard, I said. He's always been his own worst enemy. Antonio touched my shoulder. Are you ready for this? Really ready? I looked at the city again, imagining my brother in his office, probably bragging to someone about his latest success. I've spent my whole life being ready. He just never noticed. Laura raised her coffee cup. Then let's make him notice. The elevator doors opened to the 30th floor of Reuben's company headquarters, and I stepped into chaos. Employees rushed past me, their faces tight with stress. Perfect timing. Victoria! Reuben's voice boomed across the office. You made it! He wrapped me in a bear hug that smelled of expensive cologne. Let me show you around. You won't believe how much we've grown. I forced a smile, following him past rows of desks. My phone buzzed silently in my pocket. Probably Antonio confirming another share purchase. We'd been quietly buying stock for 2 weeks now, watching the price climb. And this is Morgan, my right-hand man, Reuben said, stopping at a corner office. A sharp-featured man looked up from his computer, his expression calculating. The famous sister, Morgan said, standing to shake my hand. Reuben talks about you constantly. Does he? I kept my voice light. All good things, I hope. Of course, Reuben laughed. Like how you're always there to help family. Morgan's eyebrow twitched. Something in his expression told me he knew exactly how Reuben had used my money. Mr. Lewis? A young woman appeared in the doorway, clutching a tablet. The investors are asking about the quarterly projections again. Tell them they'll have them tomorrow, Reuben waved her away. But sir, they were due last week. I said tomorrow, Audrey. I watched the young woman, Audrey, hurry away, her shoulders slumped. New hire? Started 3 months ago, Morgan said. Bright kid, but she needs to learn how things work here. My phone buzzed again. This time I checked it. Got another 2%. Total now 15%. Keep him talking. So, I turned to Reuben. Tell me about these projections. Sounds important. Reuben's smile faltered slightly. Just routine stuff. Nothing to worry about. Hey, want to see our new product lab? But Morgan cut in. Actually, Victoria, I'd love to get your perspective on something. Mind if I steal you for a moment? Before Reuben could object, Morgan led me to his office and closed the door. His friendly demeanor vanished. I know what you're doing, he said quietly. My heart stopped, but I kept my face neutral. Having lunch with my brother? Buying shares through shell companies. Did you think nobody would notice? I studied him carefully. If you're going to threaten me, get on with it. To my surprise, Morgan laughed. Threaten you? I want to help you. What? He lowered his voice further. Your brother's running this company into the ground. Those projections? They're late because we're hemorrhaging money. The new product line is months behind schedule. Half the engineering team is ready to quit. I leaned against his desk. Why are you telling me this? Because I've seen your background in consulting, your track record. You could actually fix this place. He slid a file across his desk. Here's everything you need to know about our vulnerabilities. Use it wisely. Why should I trust you? Because unlike your brother, I actually care about this company and its employees. He nodded toward Audrey's desk. And I'm tired of watching good people get crushed under bad leadership. My phone buzzed again. Found something big. Call me ASAP, Laura. Think about it, Morgan said, opening his door. Oh, and Victoria, the board meets next Thursday. Might be worth attending, as a shareholder. I found Reuben waiting impatiently in the hallway. What did Morgan want? Just picking my brain about marketing strategies, I lied smoothly. You know how I love to give advice. That's my big sister, he grinned, throwing an arm around my shoulders. Always trying to help. Come on, let me show you the view from my office. You can see half the city. As he led me down the hallway, I watched Audrey at her desk, frantically trying to make sense of the company's numbers. I made a mental note to talk to her later. In Reuben's office, he launched into another speech about his success, but I was barely listening. My mind was on Morgan's file, Laura's message, and the steadily growing percentage of shares in our control. Hey, Reuben's voice cut through my thoughts. Earth to Victoria. You okay? I looked at my brother, really looked at him, and saw what I'd been missing all these years. He wasn't malicious. He was just completely, dangerously oblivious. I'm perfect, I said, smiling, just thinking about the future. Speaking of which, he said, I might need another small favor. My phone buzzed one final time. 20% achieved. Ready for phase 2? A. I looked at Reuben, still talking about his next big idea, and felt something close to pity. Sorry, little brother, I whispered under my breath. But this time, the favor's going to be mine. The engineering team is threatening to quit? Laura's voice echoed through her office as she read Morgan's file. This is better than we thought. I paced the room, my heels clicking against the hardwood floor. They're sitting on a revolutionary AI algorithm, but Reuben's been focusing on flashy consumer products instead. Classic Reuben, Antonio said from the couch. All show, no substance. Laura tapped her tablet. Our share percentage is growing faster than expected. The market's starting to notice. We need to move quickly. A knock at the door interrupted us. Come in, Laura called. Audrey stepped in, looking nervous but determined. You wanted to see me, Miss Cooper? I'd reached out to her after my office visit, offering to help with those troublesome projections. Laura had immediately seen the potential in having an inside ally. Sit down, Audrey, Laura smiled. Victoria has a proposition for you. Audrey's eyes darted between us. Is this about the numbers I sent? Because I've found some concerning patterns. It's about much more than that, I said. How would you like to be part of something bigger? Something that could transform the company? You mean the takeover everyone's whispering about? Audrey's directness surprised me. The mysterious buyer acquiring shares? Antonio sat forward. You're observant. I'm an analyst. It's my job to notice patterns. She pulled out her tablet. And I've noticed that someone's been systematically purchasing shares through various shell companies. Someone who knows exactly when to buy. Are you going to report us? I asked. Audrey laughed. Report you? I want to help you. Do you know what it's like working under Reuben? He ignores every warning, dismisses every concern. We have brilliant engineers ready to revolutionize AI technology, but he's more interested in making flashy presentations to investors. Laura and I exchanged looks. This was exactly what we needed. What do you want in return? Antonio asked. A chance to do my job properly, and maybe... Audrey hesitated. A seat at the table when this is all over. Done, I said immediately. But we need something from you first. The board meeting next Thursday, Laura explained. We need to know exactly what Reuben's planning to present. Audrey's smile turned mischievous. Oh, you mean these? She pulled up a folder on her tablet. Complete with all the errors and misrepresentations I've found? You're hired, Laura declared. Victoria, take her through the plan. My phone buzzed. Reuben again. Hey sis, need you at a dinner tonight. Big investors. Show them what a successful family we are. Perfect timing, I showed them the message. Looks like I have a dinner to attend. Be careful, Antonio warned. He's getting desperate for funding. He might try to use you as collateral again. Let him try, I said. This time I'm ready. Later that evening, I sat at an upscale restaurant watching Reuben charm potential investors with his usual flair. The numbers he quoted were pure fantasy. I knew that now, thanks to Audrey's research. And my sister, he gestured to me, she's been instrumental in our success, always believed in me, right from the start. How touching, a familiar voice said. I turned to see Morgan sliding into an empty seat. Mind if I join? Reuben's smile flickered. Morgan, I didn't expect you tonight. Just wanted to ensure our potential partners get the full picture. Morgan's eyes met mine. Victoria, perhaps you'd like to share your thoughts on the company's direction. The investors leaned forward, interested. Reuben laughed nervously. Oh, Victoria's not really involved in day-to-day operations. Actually, I cut in smoothly, I've been taking a very keen interest lately, particularly in the AI division's potential. One investor perked up. AI division? The presentations only mentioned consumer products. Oh, there's so much more, I said, watching Reuben's face pale. Would you like to hear about it? My phone buzzed again. 25% achieved. Board meeting documents received. Ready when you are. A. I smiled at the investors. In fact, I'd love to show you the complete picture. Perhaps at next week's board meeting? Reuben choked on his wine. Board meeting? But you're not... Oh, didn't I mention? I pulled out my investor documents. I've recently acquired quite a significant stake in the company, and I have some thoughts about our future direction. The silence that followed was deafening. Morgan raised his glass to me, hiding a smile. The investors whispered among themselves, suddenly more interested in me than my brother. And Reuben? He just stared, finally beginning to realize that his sister wasn't just there to help anymore. She was there to take control. The tension in Reuben's office was thick enough to cut with a knife. He paced behind his desk, running his hands through his hair. "How long?" he demanded. "How long have you been buying shares? Does it matter?" I kept my voice level, watching him unravel. "You should be more concerned about next week's board meeting." "This is crazy, Victoria. You're my sister. You can't do this to me." "Can't do what? Invest in a company? Make business decisions?" I leaned forward. "Or did you think I'd just keep being your personal ATM forever?" His face reddened. "I was going to pay you back." "When? After you drove the company into the ground?" I pulled out Audrey's reports. "Your AI division is about to walk. Your financials are a mess. And those investors from dinner? They're not returning your calls anymore, are they?" A knock interrupted us. Audrey stepped in, her expression professional. "Mr. Lewis, the engineering team is requesting an emergency meeting. They're threatening to leave for a competitor." Reuben slammed his hand on the desk. "Tell them to wait." "Actually," I stood up, "I'd like to attend that meeting." "You have no authority." "I own 25% of this company," I cut him off. "I have every authority." Reuben's face went pale. 25%? That's impossible." "Nothing's impossible with the right allies." I headed for the door. "Coming, brother?" The engineering team was gathered in the conference room, their faces a mix of frustration and resignation. Their lead developer, Sarah, was mid-rant when we walked in. "We've been sitting on revolutionary technology for months while you chase ridiculous consumer gadgets," she was saying. "We can't—" She stopped when she saw me. "Who's this?" "Victoria Lewis," I said, extending my hand. "Major shareholder and Reuben's sister. Please continue. I'd love to hear about this technology." For the next hour, I listened as the team explained their AI breakthrough, a learning algorithm that could revolutionize everything from medical diagnosis to climate modeling. Their passion was palpable, their expertise obvious. "Why hasn't this been prioritized?" I asked, looking directly at Reuben. He shifted uncomfortably. "The consumer market is more predictable. Less risk." "Less risk?" Sarah scoffed. "We have 3 competing offers already. We're leaving unless something changes." My phone buzzed. 30% achieved. Morgan secured another 5%. Board members interested in leadership change. "Hey." I stood up. "What if I told you things are about to change dramatically?" "Victoria," Reuben warned. "Next week's board meeting," I continued, ignoring him. "I'd like you to present your work. The real work, not the watered-down version my brother's been pushing." The team exchanged looks. Sarah leaned forward. "You can authorize that?" "She can't," Reuben started, but Morgan chose that moment to enter the room. "Actually, she can," he said, holding up a document. "The board just approved an emergency session to review the company's technical direction. They're very interested in what the AI team has to say." Reuben's face went from red to purple. "You're all conspiring against me." "No, brother," I said quietly. "We're trying to save your company from you." The room fell silent. Sarah looked at her team, then back at me. "We'll prepare the presentation, but we want guarantees." "You'll have them," I promised, "starting with a new technical advisory board, led by you." As the engineers filed out, energized and hopeful for the first time in months, Reuben grabbed my arm. "Why are you doing this?" I pulled away. "Because someone needs to. Because this company could be something amazing if you just get out of its way." "I built this company!" "No," Morgan said. "You had an idea. Victoria funded it. These engineers built it. And now they're going to save it, with or without you." My phone buzzed again. "Laura says everything's ready. Board votes scheduled. No turning back now." A. I looked at my brother, seeing not the confident CEO he pretended to be, but the scared kid who always needed his big sister to fix things. You have a choice, Reuben, I said softly. Work with us to make this company better, or fight us and lose everything. Your call. He slumped into a chair, the fight draining from him. You really think you can do better? I know I can. Because unlike you, I'm not afraid to let brilliant people shine. As I left the conference room, Audrey fell into step beside me. That was incredible, she whispered. The engineers are actually smiling. Get ready, I told her. Next week, we remake this company, and you're going to help me do it. Behind us, I could hear Reuben arguing with Morgan, his voice rising in desperation. But for the first time since this began, I felt no satisfaction in his distress, only determination to turn his failure into something extraordinary. My phone buzzed one last time. Ready for the final push? Laura. I typed back quickly. Ready. Let's make history. 40%, Antonio announced, striding into Laura's office. We just crossed the threshold. I looked up from the stack of presentations I'd been reviewing. How did Reuben react? He's been calling every investor he knows, trying to block us, Laura said, checking her phone. But Morgan's kept him distracted with emergency meetings while we secured the final shares. The board meeting was tomorrow, and the office was buzzing with nervous energy. Audrey burst in, clutching her tablet. The engineering team's presentation is ready, she said breathlessly. Sarah added the latest test results. It's incredible. Show me, I said, making room at the conference table. As Audrey pulled up the slides, my phone rang. Reuben's name flashed on the screen. Put it on speaker, Laura suggested. I answered. Hello, brother. This ends now. Reuben's voice was tight with anger. I'm offering to buy back your shares. Name your price. With what money? I asked. The company's accounts are nearly empty. I have investors. No, you don't, Antonio cut in. We talked to all of them. They've seen the real numbers. A long pause. Antonio, you're behind this too? We all are, I said. Because we all believe in what this company could be. Could be? Reuben's laugh was bitter. I made this company what it is. You mean on the verge of collapse? Laura spoke up. With a revolutionary AI technology gathering dust while you chase quick profits? Who is that? How many people are you working with? Enough, I said firmly. Reuben, tomorrow's board meeting is happening. The vote is happening. You can either work with us to save this company or what? You'll steal it from me? Like you stole my life savings? The words came out sharper than I intended. Another pause. That's what this is about? Revenge? No, I said, watching Audrey scroll through Sarah's presentation. It's about doing what's right. For the company, for the employees, for everyone you've been ignoring. I'm coming to your office, he declared. Now, we need to talk. No, I said firmly. I'll come to you. This needs to end where it started. I hung up and looked at my team. Laura nodded approvingly. Go. We'll finish here. Victoria, Audrey called as I reached the door. What he did to you? It wasn't right. I smiled. I know. That's why we're making it right. 20 minutes later, I walked into Reuben's office. He was standing at the window, his reflection showing a man I barely recognized. Remember when we were kids? He asked without turning around. How you always fixed everything? This isn't a broken toy, Reuben. It's people's livelihoods. He turned. You really think you can do better? I already am. I placed Sarah's presentation on his desk. Look at what your team has created. Really look. He flipped through the pages slowly, his expression changing from anger to surprise to something like awe. This is what they've been working on? While you were chasing investors and making empty promises, yes. His shoulders slumped. Why didn't they tell me? They tried. You wouldn't listen. My phone buzzed. Morgan secured the last votes. We have majority support. Reuben saw my expression change. It's done, isn't it? You have control. Not yet. The board still has to vote tomorrow. He laughed hollowly. And you think they'll vote for their CEO's sister? No, I said. They'll vote for the person who can save their company. By pushing me out? By working with you, if you'll let me. He stared at me for a long moment. What's your plan? Keep you on as Chief Innovation Officer. Let you do what you're actually good at, dreaming big. But leave the execution to people who know what they're doing. And the AI technology? Goes into full development. Sarah leads the team. We focus on making a difference, not just making money. He sat heavily in his chair. You really have thought of everything. I learned from the best, I said pointedly. You taught me exactly what not to do. My phone buzzed again. Everything's ready for tomorrow. Come back when you can. Laura. One last thing, I said, reaching for the door. That money you took, it's coming back to me with interest. Family might not count debts, but business does. As I left his office, I heard him call out, Victoria? I paused. I'm sorry for everything. I didn't turn around. Prove it tomorrow at the board meeting. Walking toward the elevator, I texted Antonio. It's done. He knows. His response came quickly. Ready for the final act? I smiled, thinking of Sarah's presentation, Audrey's numbers, and Laura's masterful planning. Ready, I typed back. Tomorrow, we make history. The boardroom hummed with tension as I took my seat. 12 pairs of eyes watched me, some curious, some hostile, some calculating. Reuben sat across from me, his usual confidence replaced by something closer to resignation. Before we begin, the board chairman said, I understand Ms. Lewis has a presentation. I stood, feeling Laura's steady presence behind me. Actually, I have several people who'd like to present. I nodded to Audrey, who opened the door. Sarah and her engineering team filed in, followed by Morgan and several key employees. What is this? One board member demanded. This, I said, is the future of our company. Sarah stepped forward, pulling up her presentation. For months, we've been developing an AI algorithm that could revolutionize medical diagnostics. While the current leadership focused on consumer gadgets, we created something that could save lives. The room fell silent as she demonstrated the technology. Even Reuben leaned forward, truly seeing his team's potential for the first time. 3 major hospitals have already expressed interest, Morgan added. Conservative estimates put the market value at billions. Why weren't we informed of this development? Another board member asked, glaring at Reuben. Because, I stepped in, the current leadership has been more focused on appearances than substance, on quick profits rather than lasting impact. And you think you can do better? The question came from an elderly board member, his tone skeptical. I know I can. I gestured to the team behind me. Because unlike my brother, I understand that true leadership means listening to your experts, supporting innovation, and putting purpose before profit. Purpose doesn't pay shareholders, someone muttered. Audrey stepped forward, tablet in hand. Actually, our projections show the medical AI division could generate more revenue in 18 months than our current product line has in 3 years. The board members huddled over the numbers she distributed. The room buzzed with whispered conversations. There's more, I continued. We've secured preliminary funding for expansion. Antonio? Antonio stood. My firm is prepared to inject $50 million in capital, contingent on new leadership and a focus on the AI division. The chairman cleared his throat. Ms. Lewis, are you formally proposing a leadership change? Yes. I met Reuben's eyes across the table. But not a complete removal. I propose a restructuring. Myself as CEO, with Reuben as Chief Innovation Officer, focusing on what he does best, identifying new opportunities. Reuben's head snapped up in surprise. This wasn't the public humiliation he'd expected. And the current executive team? Morgan asked. Stays, with adjustments. Sarah heads the AI division. Audrey becomes Chief Financial Officer. Morgan remains as Chief Operating Officer. The chairman looked at Reuben. Do you accept this proposal? The room held its breath. Reuben stood slowly, straightening his tie. My sister, he began, his voice rough, has always been better at fixing things than I am, at seeing the bigger picture. He paused. She's also better at admitting when she's right. Is that a yes? The chairman pressed. It's more than that. Reuben turned to face me. It's an apology and a promise to do better. The chairman nodded. Then let's vote. The next few minutes were a blur of raised hands and counted votes. When the final tally was announced, it was almost anticlimactic. Motion carries, the chairman declared. Effective immediately, Victoria Lewis is appointed CEO, with the proposed restructuring approved. The room erupted in applause, led, surprisingly, by Reuben himself. As people began filing out, Laura squeezed my shoulder. Congratulations, CEO. There's one more thing, I said, raising my voice. Everyone paused. I walked over to Reuben, pulling out a document. This is a repayment agreement for my initial investment, with interest. You'll sign it now. He took the paper without hesitation. I should have done this months ago. Yes, I said. You should have. As he signed, I addressed the room. Let this be clear. Under my leadership, we will operate with complete transparency and accountability. No more hidden agendas, no more ignored innovations, no more family favors. Sarah's team broke into applause again, joined by Audrey and Morgan. Now, I smiled, feeling the weight of leadership settling on my shoulders. Let's get to work. We have lives to change. As people began leaving, Reuben caught my arm. Victoria? Yes? Thank you for not destroying me completely. I didn't deserve your mercy. No, I agreed. But the company deserved a chance to become something better. Don't waste it. My phone buzzed one last time. Dinner tonight to celebrate? The whole team wants to toast their new CEO. Linda. I looked around at my new executive team. Sarah's brilliant mind, Audrey's sharp financial sense, Morgan's steady operations experience, and yes, even Reuben's innovative spirit. First, I typed back, we have a company to rebuild. The real work was just beginning. And that's how our AI system saved its first life, Sarah beamed at the audience. The conference hall erupted in applause as she showed the final slide, a young girl smiling from her hospital bed, her previously undiagnosed condition now successfully treated. I watched from the wings of the stage, pride swelling in my chest. This wasn't just a corporate presentation, it was proof that we'd made the right choices. Ready for your part? Linda whispered beside me. Born ready, I replied, straightening my jacket. Sarah's voice carried across the hall. And now, I'd like to introduce our CEO, the woman who made all this possible, Victoria. The applause grew louder as I took the stage. In the front row, I spotted Laura and Antonio, both grinning widely. Audrey sat with them, already taking notes for our next quarterly report. Thank you, Sarah, I said into the microphone. But I'm not the one who made this possible. Our brilliant engineering team did. The doctors and hospitals who trusted our technology did. And yes, I paused, looking stage right. Even my brother did, by finally letting go of control and trusting in something bigger than himself. Reuben stepped out from the wings, joining me on stage. The audience murmured. Our story of sibling rivalry and reconciliation had become something of a legend in the tech world. When my sister took control of the company, Reuben spoke, his voice carrying clearly. I thought it was about revenge. I was wrong. It was about vision, seeing what we could become if we just got out of our own way. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably Morgan, confirming our next board meeting. He'd proven invaluable in the transition, helping us navigate the corporate waters with steady expertise. Today, I continued, we're announcing something new. The Future Female Founders Initiative, a program providing funding and mentorship to women entrepreneurs, ensuring no one else has to empty their savings to help family, only to be dismissed. The audience broke into applause again. In the second row, I spotted a group of young women entrepreneurs we'd selected for the first round of funding. Their faces shone with hope and determination. But first, I said, I want to introduce someone special. Audrey, could you join us? Audrey looked startled but made her way to the stage. She'd come so far from the nervous analyst I'd first met. Audrey started as a junior financial analyst, I told the audience. She saw problems and spoke up. She took risks and stood her ground. And now she's not just our CFO, she's leading our new initiative. I am? Audrey whispered, eyes wide. You are, I confirmed, because you remind me of myself. someone who needed just one person to believe in them. The audience stood, cheering. Sarah joined us on stage, followed by other team members. We'd become more than colleagues. We were a force for change. Ruben stepped to the microphone. And to kick off this initiative, I have an announcement. I'm personally matching every dollar the company invests in female founders. It's time to pay forward what my sister taught me about true leadership. I hadn't known about this. For once, my brother had managed to surprise me in a good way. After the presentation, we gathered in the green room. Linda handed out champagne, while Laura and Antonio shared knowing looks. They'd been dating for months, thinking nobody had noticed. To Victoria, Morgan raised his glass. Who turned a revenge plot into a revolution? To all of us, I corrected. And to what comes next. Ruben approached me quietly. That final payment cleared yesterday, he said. The debt is officially settled. The money was never the point, I replied. I know, but making it right was, he smiled. Thank you for not giving up on me completely. Sarah interrupted us, tablet in hand. Sorry, but you need to see this. The hospital just sent over their latest data. Our system just identified a rare condition in twins that doctors had missed for years. As the team huddled around the tablet, discussing implications and improvements, I stepped back and watched. This was what success looked like, not stock prices or market share, but people working together to make real change. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Linda. Look at what you built. Still think this was about revenge? I looked around the room, at Audrey explaining financials to new investors, at Sarah and her team debating algorithms, at Ruben actually listening to others' ideas, at Laura and Antonio trying not to be obvious about holding hands. No, I typed back. It was about transformation. All of us. Linda appeared beside me. Ready to go change more lives? I smiled, watching my team, my family, in action. Always, I said. This is just the beginning.